Hello, and my apologies. I just had to go quickly wash my hands, but it just got me thinking, what happens with this paper towel once I've used it? It's estimated that the UK goes through £150 million worth of paper towels each year. That's about 85,000 tonnes. And they're a problem for the recycling industry because, as many of you may know, they are traditionally not recyclable. My name is James George, Product and Innovation Manager here at Recorra, and I'm going to provide you with a recycling solution for paper hand towels. But first, I just want to show you a short video to remind you all of our change of name to Recorra. Here with me today, I have Joe Pybus and Martin Walker from Essity. Essity is a leading global hygiene and health company that is a big producer of paper hand towels. Joe and Martin are here to help me describe and explain this new and exciting recycling solution for you all. But a bit of housekeeping first. This webinar will last about 30 minutes and you have been placed on mute, or you should have been. If you've not, please place yourself on mute. If you do have any questions, please use the comments section, the Q&A section. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the presentation to answer any questions you may have. This webinar is also being recorded and will be shared to our YouTube channel following the webinar. But before we start, let's do a quick poll. What do you currently do with your bathroom paper hand towels? Please vote on the screen now. What do you currently do with your paper hand towels? Do you place them in the PCPC or mixed recycling stream? Do you put them in a general waste stream? Or do you have a paper stream you put them in? Or is there another stream that you put them in? Please vote. So looking there at the results, well, we've always directed our customers to place paper hand towels in general waste. Where at Recorra, we send the general waste stream to an energy from waste facility to produce electricity. So it's good to see that the majority of you are listening to us and placing them in that stream. But there have often been mixed messages in the waste industry, and we have had customers moving to us who are used to placing them in the mixed recycling streams or even paper streams. But the issue with paper hand towels is that they are designed to soak up moisture. No one would want a paper towel that fell apart in your hands as you were drying them, and as anyone who has played with papier-mâché can attest to, paper and water famously don't go well together, unless you're trying to make the latest Blue Peter project. Therefore, to make paper towels stay intact when they come into contact with water, a wet strength agent is added in the manufacture process. However, when it comes to pulping the paper towels after their use, they consequently don't pulp well. This has caused the waste industry a problem for quite some time. And just amongst our customers here in London, we estimate that 85 tonnes of paper towels are used every month. That's over 1,500 trees worth per year. But don't be sad, because Essity have developed a solution to remove this wet strength agent in the pulping process so that the paper towels can be recycled properly. And they have called this process Paper Circle. And to tell you more, please welcome Joe Pybus and Martin Walker from Essity. Joe, Martin, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jo Pybus, and as Jane says, I'm the Sustainability and Public Affairs Manager for Essity in the UK and Ireland. I'm just going to introduce you to Essity and talk, and then hand over to Martin to talk to you more about paper towels. Essity is a leading global hygiene and health company. We have sales in around 150 markets globally, and we operate in 3 business areas: consumer goods, professional hygiene, and health and medical. You may well have heard of Talk, which is our global leading brand under our professional hygiene business unit. And that brand supplies everything from toilet paper to hand sanitizer and napkins to cleaning and wiping products, as well as digital solutions such as Talk Vision Cleaning, which enable efficient cleaning. But we're here obviously today to talk about one of our largest areas, which is paper hand towels. We operate in many segments as well, from offices to hotels and universities to airports. So you're likely to come across Talk products somewhere. One of the things I'm really proud about working for Essity is our approach to sustainability and ethical business. I've put some of the recognitions and the memberships that we have here on the screen, just pulling out probably CDP, where we're one of only 14 companies in Europe to be on the A list for our forestry approaches. And then also EcoVadis, where I think they've assessed over 90,000 companies globally, and we fall out in the top 1%. And this is an assessment that looks at your environmental performance, your ethics, approach to labour and human rights, and sustainable procurement. So sustainability and business ethics really is at the heart of what we do. One of our really important commitments has been to commit to develop targets to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 at the latest. And as part of this, we've joined the UN Business Ambition for 1.5 degrees C. And the Talk Paper Circle initiative that Martin's going to take you through is one of the ways in which we can work towards this. You can see that we've got 8 key action areas that are going to enable our roadmap to deliver our net zero target, and less waste after use is one of those key targets. So I'd now like to hand over to Martin, who'll tell you all about paper hand towels and Talk Paper Circle.
Thanks very much, Jo. It's good to get a broader perspective of some of our sustainability credentials and targets as we go through the business. So as I've already said, I am Martin Walker. I'm a key account manager here at Essity. I look after one of our major FM partners as my day job. I'm also the UK sales lead for Talk Paper Circle. So I'm just going to run you through why do people use hand towels and why specifically should you use Talk hand towels today. So during the pandemic, I think we're all made very much more aware of hygiene and how disease and illness spread. So we're very much more aware of our hygiene needs. There are now additional emotional factors where people are afraid of coming into contact with other people's germs. And I think even recently I've been on the train where people are starting to use face masks again. They are definitely more aware of what they're coming into contact with. And there is a responsibility. I think most companies now need to be seen to be doing the right thing and providing the right hygiene resources for their customers and for their employees. And there were also concerns raised during the pandemic about the use of jet air dryers, and we saw quite a significant turnaround where people were switching them off, deactivating, taking them out, and going back to paper hand towels to improve the hygiene levels within their facilities. And the science agrees with that. So we've done various first studies over the years, but jet air dryers will spread about 10 times more bacteria. So when the rapid air comes out, it vaporizes, it creates airborne droplets, will then transfer the bacteria and viruses to other surfaces in the area. So they're not as effective at sort of drying hands, but also not as effective as taking bacteria off. And the additional benefit of a paper hand towel really is the mechanical benefit. So even if you haven't washed your hands correctly with soap and water, the hand towel will actually remove some bacterial virus from the surface of your hands as well. It's not just about hygiene though, it's about speed and efficiency and about sort of comfort for users as well. I think we're pretty much unique in regards to that it is user preferred to go for the hand. So if you had them side by side, people would normally go for a hand towel, and that's for speed. So you're not blocking up a jet air dryer for 10 to 12 seconds. You haven't got people queuing behind you. You can take a hand towel and move on. You can use the hand towel for other things. So you could use it to turn the tap off or leave the washing and touch the handle there. But quite often it's about they don't dry your hands efficiently. When I was building this presentation, I came across the following image, which I think sort of says it all really. Is hand dry is a really good way to waste 5 minutes before you walk out, wipe your hands on your trousers. So it's a bit American on this particular image, but I think we've all seen this outside of washing. So hand towels and sustainability, actually, there are 3 key areas that will help you. So within the Tork range of hand towels, we only use sustainably sourced fibre. So that could be FSC accredited fibres from sustainably managed forests. It could be already from recycled content. So we already use sorted office waste. We can use paper cups, etc. So hand towels and paper circle will now become another source of fibre for us. Our dispensers are what separates us from all of our competition, really. We want people to get more from less. So they will all prevent you from wasting hand towels. They reduce consumption. So that in itself will reduce waste and carbon emissions associated to it. And Paper Circle now adds that circularity. So we're able to look at the life cycle of the product, take it back and use it as a resource instead of fresh wood fibre. We've already won some awards, which is rather nice. So when we launched to the European market in 2018, we won the Innovation Award and the Visitor's Choice Award at Interclean. And since then, we've won various awards and accreditations with Paper Circle, and we're hoping to add to that very soon. So as James alluded to at the beginning, it's always been a problem with hand towel waste and recycling because of the wet strength additive that we put into the product. And rather than me read you through the steps of the process, I want to show you now a short video that shows what we do when the towels get back to our mill.
Tork Paper Circle, the world's first recycling service for paper hand towels, helps your company reach your sustainability targets by closing the loop. But how does this service work? The contents of used paper hand towels are collected in Tork Paper Circle containers and visually checked for purity. Then the paper hand towels are pressed into bales and delivered to one of our local Essity mills by our logistic partners. They are unloaded and stored there. Then the recycling process starts with transport over a conveyor belt, which can move up to 30 bales per hour. The wires are removed, and the bales are then transported to the next step. In the next step, the paper hand towels are dissolved, and the resin, which glues the paper fibers together, is dissolved out by way of a special treatment process. This step of fiber separation is carried out in pulpers. On the way to the next step, the fiber blend is heated to a high temperature for a few minutes to, first, prepare the fiber blend, second, eliminate bacteria and viruses. In the following separation process, fiber bundles become individual fibers within a very short time. Approximately 98% of these fibers are processed into new paper hand towels. Together with other fibers from waste paper, new paper hand towels are produced from these individual fibers. The result? Giant parent reels, which are 2.6 meters wide and weigh 2 tons. These reels are then unrolled, folded, and cut into more than 4 million individual paper hand towels. Then the paper hand towels are delivered to you, our customers, to be fed into our recycling process again and again. With Tork Paper Circle, you can reduce your carbon footprint for paper hand towels by at least 40% by collecting your used paper hand towels and at the same time set a new hygiene standard.
So I hope that was able to explain the process in a bit more detail and also put some scale on the actual process that we have and the recycling plants that we have available. Just before I hand back to James, I'd just like to sort of go through the relationship that we have with Recorra and how we met, really. It was a bit of a chance meeting last year in October. We sat at a table at the Waste to Zero Awards next to a couple of James's colleagues. They were telling us about some of the challenges they had in the industry, and hand towel recycling being one of them. And I was talking to them about the challenges we were having finding the right recycling partners to launch in the UK. So it was a match made in heaven, I think. And from there we went away. James and I started talking about identifying customers and developing the collection process itself. And we've had some really successful pilots over the early part of this year in spring and summer, and hopefully that will mean that sort of moving forward, we've got lots of joint entries into awards in 22-23. So hopefully some more news to come on that one. One of those good news stories, just before I move on, really, is this is one of our customers, one of our major FM partners, and Jack Mason is sort of the building manager there, and this was from his perspective. So I think what he really liked was an innovation that they could take to their client, and it met the client's objectives. It had a cost neutral target, so everyone wants to be doing the right thing, but no one really wants to pay for it. And the client on the site had their own carbon and sustainability plan initiative, which Paper Circle supported. The great thing about it is it's immediate and measurable impact, really. Is the great data we get from Recorra and the dashboard they provide to customers means that it is immediately measurable. And those KPIs and that measurability means, I think, it makes it deliverable. So if you measure something, you can deliver it. From our perspective, the signage and the communication tools that we provided to the sites were really, really well received and had a really big impact, and actually drove this particular client to have further discussions about other behavioural change pieces within their facility. And unfortunately, Jack couldn't be with us today, so I'm going to have to be Jack on this occasion. So Talk Paper Circle has been an all-round game changer for our client. From the seed of the idea to implementation, it's been well received both internally and by the client. It's allowed us not only to forecast a huge dent in carbon emission savings and sustainability goals for the client, but allowed us to have more open conversations with the client around the behavioural piece, which is vital to it. Essity and Recorra have been amazing to deal with, and long may the success continue. So on that note, I'm going to hand back to James.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you, Joe, and thank you, Jack, as well, actually. Thank you for that. It was great to hear that Essity are also committed to their environmental credentials and have invested a lot of money to make paper towel recycling a reality. If anyone had any trouble watching those videos, I'm hoping it all worked fine, but if you do want to watch those videos, the one we played at the beginning and the one that Martin just played there, they are on our YouTube channels, both the Talk YouTube channel and Recorra's. So the next question on our audience's lips may be, how does this service work? Well, in the next part of today's presentation, I will talk you through how we can collect your paper towels to be recycled and what you need to have prepared to do so. So in summary, paper towels are collected by us, Recorra, and recycled at the Essity mill and turned back into Talk product. If you are not already using Talk paper towels, Martin will be very pleased to hear from you. So Talk can provide product comparisons, samples, and quotes to switch over your paper towels. All of Talk's product range are made using the recycled contents they receive back, so are all part of the closed loop solution. The Recorra collection service is a prepaid sack collection. So we'll provide you with rolls of 25 sacks or in boxes of 200, and those sacks can be used to line your bathroom bins. And once full, those sacks can be placed in a dedicated drop front bin called our Sustainable Hub, or even a 240 litre bin as well. And these containers can be rented from us as per usual, and they are straightforward for our drivers to collect from. And we'll be collecting on our box vehicles. So we'll be collecting this stream alongside other services such as food, coffee grounds, coffee cups, IT, electronics. So there will be no extra vehicle movements. And the dedicated and labelled paper towel sacks are transparent so that your cleaning teams can check for any obvious contamination. And the sacks are standard at 80 litres in volume, so they should fit most bins. And the price of the sack includes the delivery, collection, and recycling of the material. And on the subject of contamination, it is important as ever that the paper towels are free of any obvious contamination. Bathroom bins typically are just used for paper hand towels, but we know we get the odd other item in there as well. But Talk and Recorra can help you with that, and we have signage available, and we can provide advice of where to place that signage and training of staff as well to check for obvious contamination. Once the sacks are collected by our drivers, they'll be brought back to our facility in Purfleet, London, where we quality screen, bulk them up, bale them and deliver them back to Essity's mill near Manchester to be pulped and recycled back into new paper towels. It may be obvious, but there are many benefits to recycling these paper towels via the Paper Circle solution. You can recycle your paper towels for the first time ever, which is amazing. It's a closed loop recycling service that keeps your waste in the UK using UK recycling infrastructure. And the collection costs are near cost neutral to general waste. So there is no good financial reason not to switch for this element of the service. It will reduce your general waste and it will increase your recycling rate, and is overall a great sustainability story to tell your site and your customers. In case you wanted to know where you can purchase these Talk paper towels from, well, you can purchase these through your existing cleaning supplies provider. Alternatively, we also sell them here at Recorra through our office supplies team. So you'll be completing a full closed loop of procurement and recycling. A fantastic sustainability story. Currently, only Talk paper towels are accepted into this service. However, please speak to Talk, who can help find the right towel and can maybe influence the price from your current supplier. Their aim is to make this recycling service work for you. So the first step is to speak with Martin or one of his colleagues. And in case you're wondering, that isn't him in the picture. And once that solution has been agreed with Talk, the second step is to contact us, Recorra, in all the usual ways, either through your account manager, if you have one, or through our excellent help desk, who will be happy to set this up for you. And as mentioned earlier, our pricing is near cost neutral with general waste, so you should see no real increase in the collection costs for now. And step 3 is to, well, flip the script and start recycling paper towels for the first time ever, which would be a nice proud moment. And so that concludes the presentation session of this webinar on paper towel recycling. So thank you for listening. And I would now like to welcome back Joe and Martin from Essity to answer any questions that you have. So I've actually got some questions that have been asked to me recently. I'd like to pose to you guys while we're waiting for some other questions from any audience members. You've probably heard this question before. Which are better for the environment, air dryers or paper towels?
I can try and field this one. It is an ongoing question and one is not maybe easy to answer, but I think we focused today on some of the sustainability credentials that we have, and now obviously the circular element that Paper Circle will give you for hand towels. It's very difficult to compare directly with jet air dryers. It's not really comparing apples with apples, but ultimately we always focus and lead with the hygiene benefits. Ultimately it's the most hygienic way of drying your hands, and that's really what it's there for.
Good, thank you. And another question that I had posed to me was Paper Circle obviously been developed recently, but can this be recycled anywhere else?
So the content and the process is quite unique. So within the UK, we have 5 UK mills, and only one of those is able to receive and process this type of waste. So it is pretty unique within the industry. I do believe that there may be one other company that can receive this type of waste.
Great, thank you, Martin. And further question here that I had about the treatment on site. So what happens to all the waste chemicals from your processes, Joe?
So obviously we use as little chemicals as possible. That'll be dosed according to the amount of hand towels in the batch. And it's used not only to break down the wet strength, but also to get rid of any bacterial contamination. And then our water systems in the mill will recycle that water several times in the de-inking plant in the first place, and then in wider loops around our process. We have an effluent treatment plant before anything is released from the mill, and in fact about 30% of our treated water goes back within our process as well. So we do make every effort to recycle and reuse water as much as possible before cleaning it up before it's released.
Excellent, that's really good. Thank you. We have got a question from Robert, which I think is more to do with your with dispensers. How can users refrain from taking too many towels when using the dispensers?
So that, again, part of the technology we have, I touched on in the presentation, is that they will present a single hand towel at a time. So traditional and historic hand towel dispensers, you tend to get a lot of clumping, especially when cleaners overfill the dispensers. But the technology within our units, and we have several systems to fit any application really, will help you reduce that overconsumption. So you'll only touch and take what you need.
Thank you, Martin. Another question that's just come in. Towels that are contaminated with beverage spills or liquid, can they still be recycled?
No, so they would fall out of scope. So typically that in that area, like a kitchenette area where you may use it to mop up, we'd say that would be out of scope. It is too heavily contaminated. It's where you can isolate it, where it's just been used for hand towel and hand drying purposes, really.
Excellent. And I think we've got time for another question. We're coming up to the half-hour mark. So I've got one final question, which I think is quite important. Is what are the environmental savings for recycling paper towels?
So I mentioned a couple of them, and one was in the video as well. But the main things that we're focused on is that it's at least a 40% CO2 saving versus your existing waste disposal means, and that's in line with our own internal life cycle assessment. There is also another measure on CO2 you can use. So RAP will provide a guideline for every tonne of white paper recycled, it's equivalent to a certain amount of CO2 saving. And I know details, James, are on your website actually of that particular measure. And the other thing is, if you looked at a typical office environment, about 20% of the volume of general waste is hand towels. So we can remove that and put it into a single recycling stream. So it's quite a significant impact on clients' recycling targets.
Great. Well, yeah, that's really important to us. So yeah, that's great. Thank you, Martin. I think we're pretty much at the half-hour mark now, so I don't think there's any more questions that come through. So yeah, thank you all for those questions, and I would like to thank Joe and Martin especially for their contribution today, and thank you all for listening. If you did miss any of this webinar, I would like to share it with colleagues or customers. We will be uploading the recording onto our YouTube channel. So it just leaves me to say that, next time you're drying your hands with a paper towel, just remember that 1.5 million trees worth of paper towels alone are being used every year in the UK. However, there is now an opportunity to recycle them back into new paper towels with Paper Circle and Recorra. My name is James George, Product and Innovation Manager here at Recorra, and I wish you a lovely afternoon. And I'm going to move away from these bathrooms now. Cheers, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.